strong people. Next question. 531 for Strongman. Surprised Jim Wimmer hasn't released that book yet. He could lose a couple more $1 million if he did. Anyways, first, before I go into it, Chase Carnes, I think it's called Kentucky Muscle 531 for Strongman. Just Google that. It'll send you to a Elite FTS article that Chase, a great competitor, wrote, where he laid out a whole training cycle, which I'm pretty sure he used himself, adapting 531 for Strongman. And I think he did it pretty well. For me and my clients, I don't like to do 531 for all the events. I like to keep it to what are my assistance movements, which in a normal sport, in another sport like powerlifting, end up being your main movement, so people get kind of confused there. But for Strongman, we're not really bench pressing or squatting in competition very often, but those are still very good movements to get stronger and to get bigger, so you should still be doing them in your training. So what I like to do is I like to do a modified version of 531 for the bench, and sometimes for the squat, or I kind of throw it in there week to week, a way to basically, I guess 531's kind of been concluded to anything where you kind of hit some sets, then you have a rep max at the end, which isn't necessarily 531, but when you're asking that question, that's kind of what you're asking. But I like to go a bit higher on my reps for the bench. One of my favorite training cycles I ever had for my bench press that helped my log press go up a ton was I did, I think, what was it? 8, 6, and 4 with a rep out at the end for bench, and it ends up being, all right, let me think, 75, 80, and 85 at the end, with, of course, for each week. So week 1 would be max out at, for, an 8 plus at 75%. Week 2, rep out 80% for a 6 plus. And I want to try to double those numbers every week. And then what I really love to do is then throw on that Mark Bell slingshot. I used the original because that's all they had at the time. For Strongman, I feel the reactives a little better, and I'll throw that on there after my working set and take that weight and try to pretty much double the reps I did with, I'll take 75%, which I already just repped out, throw on the slingshot, do 2 more sets, repping it out close to failure, and just that's just really overloading the triceps and getting a lot more work in, where I wouldn't have been able to do that much work without the slingshot giving me the assistance after I did my main work without it. That blew my log press up big time. So that's how I like to train bench, or doing, a different kind of accessory movement after that. But that worked the best for me, and I've seen good results with clients as well using that kind of block. And I'll throw it in there for a front squat. I might run where we do a 5, kind of a 5-3-1 setup. I like it for log as well, and but more for the deadlift, it never really worked very well for me. I ended up it was just too much standard deadlifting always led to me getting hurt and at too high of a percentage. I like to kind of alternate my deadlift and keep it a little bit lower rep range, and then doing block pulls for higher reps. But so sum it up, you can either just look up Kentucky Muscle 531 for Strongman by Chase Carnes. It has a whole block in there. I think it has incline bench and front squat pretty much replacing it, with some events thrown in. And kind of my program that I run for most of my clients, it's not I kind of go by feel a lot, but it's very much a kind of the philosophies of the cube, kind of rotating heavy volume, speed, and speed and max through the events on which one you're doing, and some 531 kind of stuff in there. And I kind of use the 531 when I go for the rep out week in that. And it's kind of just like any other program, you kind of adapt what worked for you from each one and make it your own. And that's kind of what I've done, and I've seen good success with myself and my clients. And so if you check it out, and you can check out my training log and go back, or even, you know, some of my clients have kept training logs on the forum as well, because I don't care. They can tell everyone what I told them to do. I want more people to get strong. That's the whole goal. So go to startingstrongman.com/forums, hit the training log. Mine's in there. A bunch of clients have been in there, and, you know, I have a free 12-week program, which it's pretty kind of set up like that. It's more for a beginner. I'll put out an intermediate one in my book when it comes out, but that's kind of how I incorporate 531 into Strongman.